I've mentored many people in the realm of public speaking, and as a result of being able to ask direct questions and getting honest responses from my clients, feel I've gotten pretty good at interpreting body language, especially in the context of being on stage or in front of a camera. There are a host of physical expressions that can reveal a speaker's inner being. Some classical expressions are, for example, pacing the stage without purpose, overusing the same hand gesture, and staring down at the floor while lost in thought. These three in particular are usually the result of general nervousness or a lack of preparation on the part of the speaker, and they are quite easy to confront and clear up. All I have to do is point out the behavior, ask what's going on in their head, and offer a suggestion or two to fix it. And that gets my client into a more confident way of thinking and of acting. However, there are times when there's a body language signal that comes up that neither my client nor I can interpret clearly upon first glance. I can speculate based on my experience, but without some sort of confirmation, my offer of suggestions for improvement are going to fall on deaf ears unless the person receiving my evaluation is both A, clear on what is going on in their own heads, and B, open to advice in order to improve. Any sort of self-denial is going to hinder someone from being a good public speaker. All the crazy anxiety and inhibitions that prevent people from being good speakers happens in their brains, but it expresses itself in their bodies. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the next great keynote speaker, or you could be someone at a job interview, asking somebody out on a date, or just trying to socialize at a party. If you claim you're nervous on the inside, you will be nervous on the outside. As I like to put it when working with my clients, your body will speak for you if you don't speak for yourself. This is as true in the rest of life as it is on stage. You need to speak for yourself in a more true manner. No good person would burden another with the types of lines and thoughts that we burden ourselves with. Where your friends or coach or therapist would say, "Hey, you're doing a good job," you tell yourself that you're nervous or you're scared or you're sick. But that's not your seat of consciousness speaking. That's just some random neurons firing off as a result of years of unhelpful habits, confusing social structures, and for many of us, messy chemical or physical imbalances. Your body knows any of these failings long before your conscious mind does. That's why nervous speakers do things like pace, sway back and forth, or stare at the floor. Their body is telling their consciousness that these misfires are happening and that the consciousness needs to do something about it rather than just blithely ignoring the issues and letting us roam around or ramble. So, what is one to do? Well, let's take an example of my own public speaking training. First, we need to be candid with ourselves. When a body sensation triggers, like tensions or tingling or random swings or stepping, we need to ask ourselves, what are we really feeling? Let's get clear on that. Most body sensations are pretty much all the same if you get down to the bottom of our biology. Now, biologically speaking, we're not infinite creatures. We have limbs that only stretch so far, and eyes and ears that can only sense so much. And we have a handful of internal organs that we really actually have no control over. We only occupy so much space, and our bodies are limited in their expression. If you watch enough modern dance performances or gymnastics competitions, you can see that while humans can do some pretty amazing things, there are boundaries. Repetition and overlapping of actions are bound to occur. It just happens to be that we're socially and linguistically inclined to interpret a handful of sensations and behaviors using hundreds of possible feelings. These feeling descriptions are not real, nor are they particularly helpful, especially for those of us prone to lingering on the negative side of those interpretations. One sensation can be interpreted by many different feelings, so we really need to differentiate between sensation and feeling. It's more precise for me to say my stomach is grumbling and that I have tension in my temples, rather than I'm feeling anxious. The former is a description of reality. The latter is a muddled interpretation. Saying I'm anxious doesn't really help me because it's an ambiguous feeling, not an actual sensation. Once we're clear on what we are really exhibiting, rather than simply what we think we are feeling, we need to give ourselves some good advice for the situation. Or if we happen to be unsure of ourselves, seek advice from a trusted friend or a coach or a therapist. For myself, when I'm about to go out to socialize, when I get that feeling of grumbling in my gut and tension in my temples, I say to myself, hey, you're excited about going out to meet people tonight. And instead of sulking on the couch in false anxiousness, I get up, I put some music on, and I get ready to go with gusto. Thus, it serves me better to choose the more positive interpretation. If I have grumbles and tension, absent of other biological evidence, I'll choose to view those sensations as anticipation rather than anxiousness. With my inner body language aligned with my outer body language in a positive way, I feel better and I come across better to the people I'm around, my audience, as it were. The point of this is not to submit to the mental interpretation of feelings, which may very likely be false, and rather positively define the actual sensations that occur within your body. Sweaty palms don't come from nervousness to speak on stage. They come as a result of your body preparing itself for some high energy work of sharing something powerful. Your friends would tell you that, as would your own seat of consciousness, if you would let it. And you can tell when your consciousness is offline when your body starts to do things that we think we don't control, like perspiring palms, grumbling guts, and swaying shoulders. We can't control these behaviors if we aren't awake enough to be in control. It's hard to do, but it can be done. As with any endeavor, practice makes all the difference. You've got to be able to acknowledge that you can change and that you are willing to change. You have to acknowledge that when your body is going against your apparent will, it's really trying to tell you so much more. If you don't make the effort to put into practice, your body will continue to subconsciously speak for you while you remain unwilling to speak for yourself. Let's not let that happen anymore. You can do it, and you will do it. It may be challenging to start, and you're never going to be perfect. We are, after all, creatures of limited function, and for better or for worse, of unlimited imagination. But take heart, for there isn't a single excellent public speaker that I know that won't admit to being nervous before getting onto stage, despite years of practice even. That doesn't make their performance any worse for the alleged nervousness. It simply makes them more relatable and more human, just like you. Thank you so much.